Ready whenever you are, sir.
Second. The resolution, the United States federal government should substantially reduce its tactical nuclear weapons arsenal, plan to text the United States federal government through an act of Congress to remove all of the U.S. tactical nuclear weapons in Europe. Solvency point number one is that we remove TNWs in Europe is key because they are located in Belgium, Italy, Netherlands, and Turkey, as well as Germany. Number two is going to be now is key time because miscalculation from Iranian proliferation probably puts us on the brink. Number two is going to be the whole plan, or number three is the whole plan is key because we must remove all nuclear weapons in order to stop the threat from Russia. Number four is going to be the United States key because we maintain exclusive control of the TNWs. Advantage number is going to be miscalculation. A is uniqueness. Nuclear miscalculation is inevitable and status quo. Number one, the United States currently has over 200 new tactical nuclear weapons in Europe. Germany is leading efforts to remove them from TNWs from Germany. Additionally, B-61 gravity bombs are currently located in Turkey. Two is that TNWs are lower nuclear threshold that they accomplish a nuclear strike without damage, give a perception of acceptable levels of radiation, and ultimately allow the civilian deaths that would result of it to be imminent. Additionally, they would create fallout that would have the same result. Number three is when the President faces repeated high-threat scenarios, argues that you must make decisions within minutes. Training tape incidents probably articulates where the President it was told that the Russian had launched a preemptive launch against the United States, but it ended up just being a training tape in the early warning system. The fourth argument is the nuclear miscalculation. Foreign policy experts say that the greatest threat from nuclear threat is going to be accidental launch. It's going to be a Russian response. They have no faith in early warning systems in their own area. Indicate that the United States hairline trigger status via TNWs indicate that Russia might launch preemptively into B is unauthorized launch causes threats from excessive damage, theft, or unauthorized use. B is the way the plan solves. Number one, we prevent miscalculation. Little is we prevent rationalization of war because this is only an intermediary step to a full-scale nuclear war. Little B is the plan prevents hairline trigger status because the United States currently has TNWs in Europe because of the perception that they can use them immediately. Number two is going to reassure Russia that removal of weapons always decrease the threshold for nuclear war with Russia, and a war in which they might fear that the TNWs are currently located really close to Russia is probably indications why it would happen. Number three is going to be we reverse nuclear war probability because in a world in which we decrease nuclear weapons, we decrease the likelihood the United States would use in a preemptive launch. Number C is number one, high-stress launch situation, probably making nuclear strike inevitable. Our arguments from a holistic standpoint for a strike is irrelevant because it's only ethnocentric to say that somehow the United States launching the first strike is good, but any other country launching a strike against us is bad. Additionally, number two is self-fulfilling prophecy because only world in which we have a hairline status do we make nuclear war possible. And three is nuclear explosions set off other nukes indicates that TNWs can actually cause a massive rise in nuclear explosions because of fusion reactions can set off nuclear bombs that we didn't know were in the area. The impacts first is going to be first strike enables war. Our argument ultimately where the first strike is the number one threat that Russia fears puts all of their nuclear weapons in hairline trigger status. Additionally, our arguments from a holistic standpoint, you must have the Scientific American article on KISS, you have to have 15 kilotons of nuclear weapons in order to cause the extinction scenario. That means the United States and Russia both must launch. Additionally, this would cause massive agricultural damage in the process as a result of decreasing the blocking out of the sun, which means that we wouldn't have photosynthesis. Probably means that this is the largest magnitudinal impact. And round number two is going to be that we develop cognitive utilitarian calculus. Our argument is unique to our justification of types of atrocities in nuclear war because ultimately through our justification of using nuclear war, we justify using nuclear war in the first place. The three arguments going to be that justifies genocide because only in the world we justify civilian death as part of future conflict, making it inevitable means that we can justify any types of atrocities under this calculation. Yeah.
You decommission the weapons?
Yeah.
Also, is this United States first strikes or Russia first strikes? This accidental launch?
Both.
Oh, sorry, and do you dismantle the weapons as well?
Normal means. Normal means. Advantage number two is finite hegemony. A is the uniqueness of TNW. Second, the status quo. Number one, TNW is used to only decrease the United States self-defense because it gives the perception the United States could attack at any moment. Additionally, military experts agree that the nuclear weapons is not an adequate answer to any of the modern threats. Number two is the United States losing nuclear experts indicates that we do not have experts that know and understand our weapons that have been used during the Cold War era that are all retiring and no one's going in their spots. Number three is Moscow outnumbers the United States in terms of TNW, so it doesn't make sense for us to counter Moscow using these TNWs to force the TNWs to depend on aircraft probably means we can't use them as quickly as we think anyways. The B5 is going to be we have no cohesive strategy on how we would even use TNWs in the status quo. Probably means they're not very good at nuclear deterrence in the status quo. B is that finite hegemony is best because number one is deterrence. Deterrence does not require an immediate response. All it requires is the country's ability to respond sometime downturn. This is North Korea's deterrence in the United States says that even if we go into a full-out war with North Korea, they're just going to send people on ships into the United States and detonate a bomb even 10 years after they lose the war. I think that's deterrence as well. Number two is going to be the United States to switch to stronger deterrence to the latest. We increase economic interdependence between countries. Probably means that we check back conflict better. Additionally, it increases efforts on diplomatic efforts between the two countries. Probably is a better way to solve little B's. The plan culminates in excess. Ultimately, a French model proves that you don't need excessive nuclear weapons in order to have nuclear deterrence. Three is going to be the Pakistan increase in nuclear oversize via the plan because only in a world in which decrease the need for nuclear weapons because other countries are proliferating. And we give Pakistan the impetus to decrease the nuclear weapons status quo. All we need to decrease the United States in order to stop the contradictory rhetoric coming from the United States. Is internally Pakistan oversight. The first argument is weak government oversight now probably means that stolen nuclear weapons are inevitable in status quo. The latest means Russia says 120 people have a knowledge of secret nuclear movements inside Pakistan. Number one, making it inevitable that stolen weapons would happen because they prefer secret movements and nuclear weapons instead of having physical security. The little B argument is extremists take over only a world which the extremists currently are already exacerbated and already hate the United States. Probably means that we should stop trying to give access to the nuclear weapons status quo. That means extremists take over is probably inevitable status quo. The impact number one is going to be oil shocks. Our little A arguments the threat of international response makes oil speculators react to just a stolen weapon. The status quo means that's enough to cause increase in oil prices. This little B is going to be increase in agricultural products is unique because 70% of agricultural products depend on transportation costs, which are also codependent on the price of gas. The little C is going to be starvation. When many people are on the brink of status quo, we would articulate 3.5 million children around the world are on the brink of starvation as a result of food prices. Any increase in food prices might push many of the children over the brink. Additionally, it's only improved probability if they are going to see their impacts are not unique because just because people starve to death in the past doesn't mean they're not going to starve to death in the future. Probably means we have a unique war and it would be a tiebreaker on the war debate. The two arguments can be United States escalation argument only in a world which there's a stolen weapon as that increase the impetus in the United States would go to war with some country would articulate to you that the United States does not have viable intelligence to go to war in Iraq or viable intelligence to attack Afghanistan after 9/11, but only because they had to attack someone and they actually go into that kind of conflict. Probably makes conflict inevitable in the Middle East. Additionally, exacerbates the effort of extremists because only the United States continually intervenes in the Middle East to create the emphasis for terrorism in the first place means that we solve the root cause of terrorism.
Question: how is the economy going to collapse right now? Why?
Oil shocks.
Why? Those
Stolen weapons in Pakistan.
Okay, it's going to be 2 off cases. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
You're not reading the sheet. No.
Three or two?
3.
Okay.
Are any long?
No, none of them are long.
I don't know why anyone addressed that question.
Just so that we can pull it out in like the regular section. Both are large.
So it just
The uniqueness NATO cohesion, the uniqueness NATO cohesion is high now. The first argument is according to the Envo Dalder, the permanent representative of NATO, and James Stratovus, the support of the Allied commander to Europe, said that Libya left NATO strong. Second argument is Libya was seen as a success. Little A, it was seen as responsible to the international human rights norms because the UN Council first placed sanctions and then referred Gaddafi to the ICC, and then the Europe League called for the NFC, which means we were seen as responsible. Little B is that the quick response time showed that there was resolved. The estimated the NFC no-fly zone was established within months of in 1 month of the uprising, and the intervention was able to save 750,000 people, which were in the capital city that Gaddafi was threatening, and it also obliterated Libya's air defense within 72 hours. Little C is that it showed the United States' commitment to multilateral engagement because after the initial NFC, Obama consulted NATO and then turned over operations within 9 days. It showed burden sharing is extremely high. The U.S. contributed $1.1 billion, and a couple and other countries, however, contributed far more, which means means that no single ally is taking all the burden a little bit. The final argument is that, however, there was a break. The operational hurdles for non-U.S. NATO states still had still had to rely on the U.S. for 75% of recon forces and 75% of aerial refueling, which shows that states are still dependent on the United States. And the next argument is that there was a lack of resolve on NATO's posture towards Russia because there was unease because we pushed for cooperation on missile defense. Yes, your question.
Did the United States consult NATO when they started with Russia?
That was a brink. That's our brink. The link.
They did consult or didn't?
It'll be explained in Unicus. 1. The plan to see this unilateral cut towards TNWs, which upholds Russian delays, and this violates the 2010 NATO strategic concept, which says that TNWs can only be removed if all 28 member states agree that it will be. It said 6 NATO members said that they would only agree to withdrawal if Russia first agreed to undeploy TNWs. First and second arguments, it looks like weak diplomacy delay. Obama was criticized during the start of negotiations because NATO violates thought the start was constraining the U.S. modernization, and because Russia was decommissioning missiles that were already decaying and the third argument fights over the burden sharing delays that nuclear states like France and United Kingdom feel that they may take over the burden and provide nuclear weapons to these states because they're going to be calling for it, and this causes fights. The impacts. This causes Russia to redeploy CNWs and turns states when the plan is going to be seen as appeasement and perception of weak diplomacy. This is especially true because nationalists are in power. That's why the Meninsky was responded to so forcibly, and why they cut off things like beef exports, and they claim Russia's claims also that its TNWs are necessary to counter NATO conventional deterrents, which is the reason why their plan is not able to solve this. Means that miscalculation is inevitable because Russia's TNWs are still going to be there, and UK and France still have no warning system, so there's an easily chance of that miscalculating because Russia's the one who would be looking like the threat. The second impact is this leaves a Syria proxy conflict. NATO is currently planning to provide arms to Syria on March 14th. The British Foreign Secretary and William Hague, the Prime Minister, said that Britain is going to break the EU's embargo to provide lethal weapons to the status quo. The NATO results is able to check the Russian response. The Russian foreign minister said that if Britain does this, it's going to deploy, quote, significant military forces, but that is a bluff in a world where NATO is able to check the impacts that this causes. He was drawn because it defend Israel's security guarantees, ensure that this goes nuclear, and increase the propensity of miscalculation. We would redeploy our TNWs to Israel in a world where Russia was threatening them or redeploying them back to Turkey. The next, this set is storage waste. Unique nuclear storage waste is coming into status quo because of bipartisanship. The first argument is why didn't a Democrat from Oregon and the Secretary of the Energy National Resource Committee is working on nuclear waste management bill with Workowski and Vice saying that the major feature of the bill is that it shifts waste storage from pools on site to dry cask storage on site, which will allow for nuclear reactors to actually contain the storage site in the future. The second argument is the bill seeks to create a permanent waste relocation site, but the location is not relevant in little ways. That Wyden knows that the GOP-led House wants Yucca Mountain as a permanent site because the GOP and Sheminkis, who serves on the House Energy Committee, has said that, quote, under my dead body will anything be moved without a Yucca component, but Wyden knows that the Senate is not going to allow the Yucca to actually come to pass because Reid, the Senate Majority Leader, pressured Obama to accompany in 2009. Third argument, there was a compromise to identify Yucca as a temporary waste storage site in the future. This is going to be appease Sheminkis, which means it's going to pass the link. The plan causes unprecedented shift in nuclear cuts. Normal means for retiring nuclear weapons is also decommissioning, which creates a massive new influx of storage. It's shipped to the pantry with the pass-free waste site for decommissioning. The second argument plan perceptually increased nuclear waste. When the new start happened, it was a politically tied waste storage. The plan calls Sheminkis' bluff, which means he's going to backlash a vote against the Waste Storage Act. You have the impact for this? You have the impact for this.
Sheminkis. Yes, I handed that to you.
You did?
Who's backlash?
Ah, there we go. The impact. Sheminkis. The impact. Sasco failed to agree on on-site management undermines nuclear industry. One, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission said that the U.S. government will stop issuing permits for new nuclear power plants to end license extension for existing facilities under nuclear waste storage issues are resolved. Second argument, courts are stopped now because permits due to the statement. The third argument is that there were 14 different reactors waiting for renewal, 60 waiting for new construction. That's nearly 20% of our nuclear infrastructure. Half of existing reactors will soon need renewals, and nuclear energy supplies 29% of our energy demand. It's keeping softly warming. One independently planned cycle, 10% of U.S. electricity. Two causes a shift back to what's called third argument that nuclear regulations are also key to warning. They allow for zero emissions. They require zero solvency. The impact of warming leads to ocean acidification. World it causes phytoplankton to die because the pH levels decrease the iron intake, which means 50% of the world's oxygen sources dies, causes extinction. It's far worse than the blocking of the sun, but also would cause economic collapse because it means 29% of our energy immediately is shut off and not gone for renewable. That collapses the manufacturing sector, which is 12% of our GDP and our economy because it relies on cheap storage to actually compete with other countries. Miscount. Uniqueness. One answer there are an argument of acceptable levels. Obviously, TNWs are not seen as an acceptable level. That is why Kennedy during the Cuban Missile Crisis said that we cannot afford to use TNWs on Berlin because everyone knows it would lead to a general war, which means that it is perceptually true, just as everything else. Now, going to be internally, no. Let's go back to that and watch early warning systems have been updated by Russia. They have put in place the PAL system that the United States puts in place, which means you have to have 2 commanders sitting in the location and a command code from a command and control, which means that Moscow literally has to authorize no only situation which early warning systems would actually cause a strike is if signals were telling you there were so many nuclear weapons that you couldn't have a survivable second strike because you would wait until after absolute confirmation. You would wait until it detonated, see if it was actually a blip on the radar or the radar before you actually strike. There's no propensity for the actual that to actually happen. Intervening actors are going to check, and there's no risk even if command and control is bad and people would press the button. The studies during the Cold War found that people didn't press the button even when they were put in a situation of war to, and you literally don't solve ICBMs and SLBMs and from that are stationed with the United States are going to be able to launch in other countries. That creates the same perception of deterrence and the same perception of launch that looks far more likely, especially in the world where PGS is coming, and that's what PGS would look like, which means that would be the source of miscalculation, not TNWs. Now on Pakistan 1. Link. You literally solve nothing. You do not solve terror. Oh, sorry. Go to the impact of. This is the justification of all violence. When you should prevent death, it's irreversible, forecloses all possibility, and even if extinction is inevitable, you're not able to solve all other nuclear weapons, which means nuclear weapons are still a justification of the world to plan. Now go to the next disadvantage. You do not solve anti-terrorism. It's not a result of U.S. TNWs. We still have other nuclear forces in other areas that you were not able to solve for, and it's a result of the conflict between India and Pakistan. That kind of terrorism is not going to go away. The people who are attacking the bases that are 25 miles outside of 100 nuclear weapons in Pakistan are people who are in line with Pakistani interests and are fighting India, not the United States, and there's no risk they're going to be able to take it. The Pakistan to increase its security measures, and there was no risk that it was lead to oil shocks because Russia literally lost 5 different nuclear weapons after the Cold War. We don't know where they are, and the 1970 OPEC found that there was a 400% increase in oil prices didn't cause oil shocks, and the economy is empirically resilient. And on oil shock.
Advantage number 2, disadvantage NATO, disadvantage economics, and then advantage number 1.
Okay, so finite hedge, then NATO cohesion, then waste storage, politics, then miscalculation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Say it, sorry, one more time. I was trying to write names.
Oh, no problem. It's advantage number 2,
Okay.
NATO, politics, advantage number 1.
I'm sorry, give me the order again.
Disadvantage, no problem. Advantage number 2, the disadvantage of NATO, the disadvantage of the economic politics, and then advantage number 1.
And then what?
And add 1.
Okay.
Is it hard to hear me? Are you?
Yeah, I just, I'm sorry, I'm good. Shut up, Ruben.
Are we all ready?
Yeah.
Great. On against some troops, across the way to stop terrorism. Additionally, in proliferation, no link. Additionally, there's no way the defensive standard wise. There's no offense, no way the way this additionally disadvantage number NATO or number 1 of NATO. First argument, not even the United States ordered to pull out of Afghanistan, which would have triggered arguments, and arguments that unilateral action happens as a result of Afghanistan. Additionally, they've already said they're going to decrease the amount of troop deployed, so it's door pressuring NATO and the allies are already pulling out. Additionally, next argument, ISI credibility is warrant for this true. NATO's not able to capture intelligence on where Osama bin Laden was there, which means people don't see the need for European defense. Additionally, the third argument, no Syria action, probably indication of the fact that NATO's not unique in status quo because they weren't able to get any resolution past this result, and the United Nations and Trump their credibility. Additionally, the fourth argument is that they were not able to get Russia into the Partnership for Peace program, which means there's no need for it. And European realized that because NATO's only existed as a way to check Russian proliferation before. Fifth argument is they already pulled it. The United States already pulled credibility. Never mind. The fifth argument is that START would have triggered leak. Our argument is that you say you're going to answer this, but you never actually answered the fact that START's already decreased deployment. Additionally, the fact we're decreasing different types of nuclear deployment is probably the reason why this would have triggered. Additionally, the next argument, North Korea would have triggered leak. There's no cohesion on policy and status quo, and the next argument is credibility is low in status quo because they continue to use close bombs as part of NATO's proliferation, which kills children with decreased credibility and increases prevention blowback. And the next argument is that the United States did not use them in Iraq and Afghanistan. Your Libya warrant is outdated. Turns. First argument, turn, increase the propensity of proliferation, probably always your argument. The ace ones you did not respond to a Russian proliferation argument. They uniquely focus on Europe. Our argument says the only world in which you have technical weapons, so they see the need for the same set. That is the only propensity for miscalculation, because these are low security facilities, because they have to transport them without attracting attention, because they don't have the ability to have the base additional next argument turn. Increase the propensity for terrorism. The ace ones you did not respond to warrants in the way you see that says that terrorism is more likely to happen as a result of being able to access low security yields additionally. The base one is that the plan starts to be able to reduce the system only propensity of miscalculation also solves the argument all years about Syria, because it solves back for the terrorists being able to acquire a weapon that actually would be able to use against the government. Additionally, next argument is turn. You can use diplomacy or argument says the United States unilateral actions only when it's solved back, especially in war once they've already forecasted that they're going to do this. That's part of the reason why they did the build-up in the status quo. You keep in mind the United States on January 25th already signaled this by having missile defense build up in Europe. Argument says only world in plan can you increase credibility and also allows from the same money that increase economic independence. We will be able to win. The argument says economic independence is an ultimate check, and it's still better than advantage will outweigh additional next argument's turn. You increase propensity of Russian proliferation. You don't have a warrant by the street state to increase proliferation. No reason. Additionally, NATO is seen as an anti-Russian institution, because that's why they're created. Additionally, no reason why Russia and NATO will cooperate in status quo, especially when they weren't even getting the partnership and peace work. Next argument, you say Syria would up, not even happening status quo, and would have been triggered. There's no way for priority arms to solve back, because the United Nations is going to pass an arms trade treaty that will prohibit. Additionally, next argument, you say Israel will back. That's no warrant for that. It's true, and they're too close because their yield would come back on their own nation, and mutual share destruction takes us back, and it probably would happen. They already had the propensity to attack the status quo, economic independence. So we check back in the world in which they realized that it would shift. People would stop trading in order to protect their economies. That would probably decrease economic independence, especially in the world of Julius technology, where economies attack military strength. Additionally, events number 2, where you don't have an impact, and keep in mind that it's 50 kilotons as necessary for extinction. That means we have the only extinction scenario on Yucca politics. The first argument is that
can you repeat the Russia decreases Russian proliferation turn? Can you re-articulate that?
yeah, that's our advantage. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
On politics, first argument is not any appropriations focused status quo. The first argument for warrant for this, why this is Brian just passed introduced the legislation or proposal that would decrease taxes by $420 for the long run. Additionally, said that Democrats just increased the proposal that is coming on the docket. The keep in mind the amount is not even the docket. Additionally, Obamacare provisions are creating infighting, and the immigration bill is already creating quite civil war within the Republicans. Means no support in status quo. The third argument is that cybersecurity legislation is Obama's focus. He is threatening XO legislation in status quo. Probably is making the number of focus, especially world in which China continues to focus public attention on problem needs to supersede. Additionally, next argument is farm bill, in fact, the CBO just had to readjust their estimates probably come through forward. Additionally, the reason why the plan will probably is higher probability. Additionally, next argument is turn weaker media focus status quo. The eighth one is that 41% of Republicans are falsely following constituents of Congress. This decrease the propensity of a compromise in the status quo. Additionally, the beast one is that we increase public flexibility for GOP to make a compromise, especially in a world in which we make the argument that says that media attention will focus on other issues. Next argument turn. We start with the budget. The points that the expenditures are two things. First of all, keeping the appropriations bill from passing the status quo, especially in a world in which taxation is too low. Additionally, the cost of shifting to other facilities will happen in the status quo, which means that we will solve the beast points that we solve by increasing budget flexibility, by decreasing the amount of expenditures that happen as a result of the plan. Next argument is turn. It's streets of conception. The eighth point that GOP realizes that it has a commitment to missile defense in Europe, which means that they realize they have to focus on other things like North Korea, or arguments it's only world of the plan. Will they be able to come to a compromise? Our argument says that the beast point is that they will want to focus on North Korea, which means they would like the proliferation, means some compromise problem solves back. Additionally, next argument is no leak. The DOE is already indicating the fact that they already have the extra capacity to be able to solve, which means there's no reason why your backlash scenario would happen. Additionally, if generic links you don't actually apply to this. Additionally, next argument is okay, you shouldn't have gone for global warming. Couple reasons. First argument, deforestation increases status quo. The first argument for this is Peru's increase 4.5%. Additionally, as an exponential fact, it's slash burn methods that are applied. How to decrease deforestation status quo is increase the amount of carbon emissions due to waste. The next argument is cars are already increasing status quo, and there's no way to stop back for them, especially in water winds. There's no international cooperation. China will continue to emit. Additionally, next argument is cows can solve over 35% of emissions as a result. Not having method just means you have no percent solve, and we're already past the point of reversibility. And additionally, it would be 10 yourself, which means extinction now weighs on the app, and the plan solves better for this economic interdependence, probably ultimate cooperation. Additionally, next argument is turn. Okay, and we solve the link better. Our argument is only a world in which we solve our budget, increases our economy, increases economic independence, increases the propensity of an international treaty to be passed, especially in a world in which economy is the number one reason why it's not being focused on the status quo. Anything you want there about? No? Okay. Artifact number one, you don't respond to new, it's probably going to be problematic, especially when we're a world in which we're controlling the only miscalculation scenario in the status quo. The first argument sent across the United States has a missile defense, but it's a redundant policy. Additionally, it's the number one reason why for miscalculation because it has a terror trigger. Additionally, sent across the majority of the
Not missile defense, TNW.
TNW, sorry. What do I want? What's the key arguments on the uniqueness?
TNW is lower than nuclear threshold, and then obviously you can put a false tape in the early warning system.
Okay. TNW is lower the what?
Nuclear threshold.
Nuclear threshold. But they say the PLS system will check back. They don't respond to warrants that says the training takes broadly, increase psychological barrier because they are trained to be the launch of missiles, especially in a world in which it's the number one way that they increase training. Additionally, next argument, hair trigger is unique to this system. You say the worldwide there would be no secondary capability. You don't respond to warrants that says that's probably an ethnocentric claim, especially in a world in which we're controlling the nuclear first strike. Additionally, miscalculation happens to a high stress situation because we don't know how they respond to our proliferation and the way we move to true weapons. Additionally, the next argument is that international actors don't check back in a world in which you don't respond to the fact that the United States wouldn't be able to pull the trigger, and there's too many ways in which they can pull the trigger. They don't have to consult before they'd be able to do it, and that probably applies to your scenario as well, which means you should pass the app in order to save money. Additionally, next argument is you say we don't stop for launch, you don't respond to the nuance of warrants about the high stress situations and the first strike fulfillment. Additionally, the fact that it's self-fulfilling prophecy and the Russian threat is a good example of this. Additionally, you say we won't stop at the events. First argument is that this is a unique impact, and it also shifts the way the United States policy is interacting, and that's not a unique warrant because we already decreased the propensity of that fire. We have more. That's safeguards in the technology. Additionally, next argument is that this will increase cooperation, and especially in a world in which we use economic independence, probably decrease the propensity of wars along with the end. You can send across a warrant that says that 15 kilotons is necessary for extinction, which means any other scenario would not weigh in terms of extinction. You say death weighs on the second advance, probably devastating a world in which we have an extinction scenario means more people die. You should err on a probability of magnitude.
The order is going to be NATO, waste, and then you give me the political burden / fix it so that it doesn't die.
What's the advantage of it? I'm sorry.
The advantage is advantage one. They kicked off advantage two.
You say it one more time.
The advantage miscount. So NATO, waste, miscount. NATO, we're not going for this position. All the defenses at the bottom, but additionally extend that starts to trigger the spell as not unique to all of your turns because if it starts to trigger all of our links, triggered all of your link turns as well, such as stopping proliferation or stopping terrorism. Because all of these arguments are based on drawdown of nuclear weapons. If your argument is that it started causing drawdown of nuclear weapons, and the fact that there's still there's uniqueness for these kinds of terms means if it started causing drawdown of nuclear weapons, it means that there's no specific drawdown. You say stops proliferation. That is basically your advantage to how you have considered advantage means you do not yourself. Also, you say increases terrorism. You don't have unique terrorism in the world. We can see that Indo-Pac terrorism is Indo-Pac terrorism inevitable. Also, you say stop terrorism from getting weapons. Also, consider Indo-Pac. You say unilateral action, stall back is not a reason why you stall back for the start treaty. You say decrease Russian proliferation. We'll answer that argument on the argument proper. Anything else, Martin? Good. Waste storage overview. You have mishandled this argument. It's not a question about general politics, not a general big agenda question, but rather a specific committee. Our argument, this man called Schminkis, who is from Oregon, apparently is working out a compromise. Martin knows a lot more about this. Cut this is working out some kind of compromise that allows for dry casket storage, which means that it allows the nuclear reactors to become viable. Our argument is nuclear reactors are beyond the brink of the status quo. If there's anything that increases nuclear storage, that changes the way in which we store nuclear waste or increases the nuclear waste, that causes Schminkis to stop the bill from even escaping from escaping. All of your general political capital argument is not contextualized Schminkis, which means it's game over for you. Extend that there's go on to the advantage property. Extend that there's waste cooperation happening in status quo. That's all of our argument that you have failed to implement. You say that Ryan has proposed something to decrease taxes does not implicate whether or not there's cooperation on dry cask storage. This is how Congress works, folks. It's that there are specific committees that the bills have to get out of. Even if there are general fights on Congress, does not preclude specific senators from wielding personal power or coming to agreements. These kind of fights do not spill over, especially to things like nuclear waste. Taxes do not spill over to nuclear waste. You say it's not on the docket. That's our argument, guys. It doesn't even get on the docket if you pass the plan. You say immigration, there's a consistent immigration status quo. Also, does not implicate whether or not there's going to be nuclear waste storage. You say cybersecurity is Obama's focus. It's not an Obama-focused question. It's a question of Sheminkis and his specific committee. Also, you say there's things like farm bills. It's obvious. It's not implicate things like that does not implicate things like what is that thing called? Nuclear waste. Listen, this is one time that Whitman is actually running a dissad that politics is actually real. Like nuclear waste implicates nuclear waste. Nuclear waste does not implicate farm bill. It does not implicate immigration. It implicates nuclear waste. Go on to the link level extend that this is a massive shift from the waste pack. The waste pack would cause Schmink's to backlash. He specifically stated he will backlash on the specific bill and cause it not come out of Congress and back out of the compromise. As soon as there's some kind of change on the waste, you have conceded the link. This causes Schmink's to backlash because there's an increase on there's a perceived increase on the general nuclear waste storage, and it's a change in the way that we store nuclear waste. You have it was a damning point about information answer when you said you decommission them, and normal means is that we put these warheads into nuclear waste. You say it turned winners when Republicans not contextualize obviously to the compromise. You see increase in flexibility. That might work on the General Senate floor, but Schmink does not give a crap about these kinds of things, which means he only cares about nuclear waste. You say the appropriation bill should have stopped this. New appropriation bill did not say anything about Yucca storage site. These are regulatory changes, not budget changes, folks, which means there's no implication. You say decrease expenditure does not matter. If you decrease expenditure in a way that pisses a specific senator off, obviously he's going to backlash. You say there's not going to be any kind of shift that is outweighed by all of our link arguments, which were much more specific. You say that causes GOP to focus on North Korea. It does not matter whether a GOP has new focus or new capital, supports Obama, supports what, and it does not matter because our links are contextually Schminkis. I keep on having to repeat this argument. Going on to the extension that these kind of waste storage is key to nuclear waste industry data drawer after the internal links. Extend the number one argument that 14 reactors waiting for renewal, and that there are 16 new reaction goals. That half of our nuclear reactors are about to. Half of our nuclear reactors need to apply for renewal in a world where the courts are simply denying all these permits, and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission is not letting them have these permits. That is GG to the nuclear energy industry. You say that DOD has excess capacity. Does not implicate whether or not these kind of regulatory changes happen. You say our links are generic. Really? Our links are generic. Call them your linkers, man. Extend that the nuclear waste. Extend number one that this will destroy at least 10% of our energy production, which destroys the manufacturing sector. These things go cold. Conceded. You say you increase trade ties, but you have conceded you do not solve an advantage issue. That is the only place where you discuss trade ties. Additionally, in a world where our economy declines, that obviously causes the trade ties to decline, which means all of your impacts are inevitable. Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you keep mentioning one congressional member. How many people have to vote for the bill to get it passed?
You haven't made any uniqueness arguments about other people. On first, extent that their impact is economic collapse, they say it will lead to escalation of the U.S., Iraq, and Afghanistan at a minimum, but they say the word's drawing, and that is Russia, so resource wars cause extinction, not checked by man. Yeah.
Also, they explain they said resource wars cause drawing, and that obviously is the reason why it's not checked by man, especially when it's a matter of try or die. We don't even have to go for the global warming impacts when you concede the time frame for our economic impacts.
Their DOE extra capacity is that means that the storage is not going to be implicated. DOE does not have extra capacity to store nuclear waste. Okay. DOE does not have extra capacity to store nuclear waste. These are all stored on site, which means DOE excess capacity simply is not true and does not implicate any of our arguments. Even if there were excess capacity, that's going to fill up really quickly, and they don't get permits to store on this excess capacity. Miscalculation. Here's the framing question. We've been having TNWs in Europe forever. Do you see accidental launch? Do you see Russian nukes raining from the sky? I don't see it either.
probably means your advantage is not, your arguments are not unique. That is why we have early warning systems, folks. That's why they're pulse extend. All of our arguments by early warning system has been updated. All of your arguments are hair trigger alerts are all from Dr. Strangelove. The pulse technology makes it makes action to launch practically impossible because Roscoe has to issue that authorization. You say a high stress situation, but you have conceded argument that deployment of nuclear weapons, specifically, even if it's high stress, people will have to wait for confirmation because otherwise it is the death of it causes a nuclear war. People are extremely stressed. People have empirically been unable to do this unless there's confirmation that nuclear bombs have struck. The only way that Russia would strike is if they perceive so many nuclear weapons coming their way that they can't second strike. Do you know how many nuclear weapons Russia has? That's not possible, which means even if there's some kind of psychological training that decreases barriers, there's still going to be a moment of doubt when people say, let's just wait for the nuclear weapons to hit.
Extend the TNW typically don't decrease threshold.
Yeah, also extend the TNWs don't decrease threshold. That is also assumed by our study. During the Cold War, they also tested TNWs. The threshold was basically the same. Also, you have conceded our arguments about ICBMs, SLBMs, which means there'll still be nuclear weapons post-plan. There'll still be nuclear weapons post-plan, which means all of your arguments are not unique. Also, things like PGS means that Russia misperception and misfire 30 warning system obviously is not unique. You keep on saying there's some kind of first strike, but you don't have a time frame for when these kind of first strikes is going to happen. Does not have the risk of increasing cooperation because you do not control the way that Russia perceives us. You say 50 kilotons necessary. You do not have arguments for why this will cause a 50 kiloton yield. Besides, Russia will launch all of their nuclear weapons. That is simply not going to happen.
Going to be the dissent.
Can you lift your chair, Martin? Yeah. Your chair has pulled my chair. Can you give me the order, Martin?
Yeah, there's no case. Okay.
You're ready? What'd you say?
Dissent case.
Dissent case, okay.
I'm ready. The dissent at least states according to this time frame, the economic collapse is going to be in a matter of months because all of the renewable permits are coming up in 2013. As soon as they go away, that means the 26% of U.S. energy production goes away. The collapse is the manufacturing sector, which is 12% of our GDP, causes an immediate shock in the U.S. economy, which proliferates globally. That is their own analysis about oil shocks. Suppose that the global economic collapse is two outweighs on profit and versus their time frame, which is nebulous. 70 years of the Cold War proves that this is not cause extinction. So even if it is inevitable, it could happen in 100 or 1,000 or a million years. When the heck is it going to happen? Which means extinction. Time frame is offensive. We prevent extinction from happening for 1,000 years. That means we get to live for that much longer. The second argument is probability. No probability of their scenario happening when they've conceded that the PALs make it impossible because people would have to get confirmation from US or Russia or other central commands, and that confirmation would never be given unless people actually thought that so many nuclear weapons were coming towards them that their country would not have secondary capability. There was no chance in hell that an early warning system is going to tell you that is the case, which means people are not going to launch nuclear weapons, and also that there was not impact defense to economic collapse. They had read an economic collapse scenario in their advantage. We do not read defense to that scenario. We merely straight turn it. So when you kick out of solving for that, and we have read a reason why your internally does not take out our uniqueness, because oil shocks would not lead to economic collapse. We give a nuke economic collapse scenario. This leads to U.S. and Russia drawn because of resource wars, which is the conflict that you isolated. It breaks down mutually assured destruction because it means trade ties, which is the only thing the USA and China are not going to, and it creates triadize scenarios where people must securitize resources for via war, and at the very least it leads to massive Iraq and Afghanistan, which is millions of people dying. That probably outweighs when they don't have probability. Now go to the dissent. Yes, Sean is correct. This is the first time that women has read a true politics dissent. The PMR is going to do this. They are going to go to all of their link turns and all of their non-uniques and try to make a reason why this bill specifically is going to fail. That is not an argument that is made in the MG. It is just a bunch of arguments against a generic politics dissent. Too bad that is not how this works. There was no explanation of why, if there was increased, cybersecurity legislation or the Farm Bill or Obamacare infighting is the reason why this specific bill and this specific bill only is not going to pass. It has the support of people like Reid. It has bipartisan support of people like Murkowski and Feinstein. It's a little pet project of a couple of senators in places like Nevada and other places who care about nuclear waste storage. The rest of Congress doesn't give a shit about this stuff. But if the guy in committee, the Sheminkis, who can literally derail it from getting out of the House and Energy Committee because he is the Republican co-chair, that means that it does not pass. There was no reason why Republicans being more happy would focus on this specific bill. That is just nonsense. That's the reason why the politics dissent generally is stupid. If there's an increase in nuclear focus, that's not a reason why they would somehow say, we should really do a temporary storage site with Yucca and also put all of our nuke storage in cold caskets. Why the hell would that be your decision-making habits? Their link term does not function. So, yeah.
You should emphasize the only point of contention is the Sheminkis. Once it goes to the floor.
Yeah, and their only point of contention is Sheminkis. Once it goes to the floor, it passes because it has bipartisan support on the floor. This is something they have conceded. General bipartisanship is not a reason why this specific bill is not going to pass. That's why you look at govtrack.com. Tons of bills pass all the time, but not controversial ones. This one won't. It is not controversial if it gets to the floor.
Okay, the arguments about it has bipartisanship on the floor, the arguments about how it has bipartisan support, all of the arguments about the general Congress support are not made in response to any of my arguments. They're new in the LOL.
I don't think that's the case because the first uniqueness point is that nuke waste storage is going to pass now. One, bipartisanship, and then we isolate literally every senator who is key to it.
Yeah, and then we isolate why bipartisanship on nuclear waste storage.
Okay, you say we, but my argument is you didn't isolate those in response.
I think
He's
that's
extending our uniqueness. Okay, I'm sure this is, yeah, we got a response. Okay, now we're going to this. The solvency question is devastating because that means you should not prefer extinction. If extinction is inevitable, you should prevent the Iraq and Afghanistan that is inevitably going to come. They have considered CBMs and SLBMs analysis, which is way too strong for them. They say they have better safeguards. They have the same goddamn safeguards as every other nuclear weapons technology, which is PALS, but they have also conceded the analysis for PGS that this would be the only scenario for miscalculation because the only thing that would actually look like a nuclear weapon, that would look like a nuclear weapon on early warning systems would be ICBMs because that's what PGS replicates, which means when you don't get rid of that, there was the same probability of miscalculation, which means you vote on low magnitude impacts because that's the only offense.
Okay, I want you to go to advantage number 2 and just have the impact of advantage number 2 ready to go, and then the disadvantage on the politics, and then the advantage in language.
Did you say advantage to advantage 1 politics or politics?
No, advantage to impacts, then disadvantage politics, and then advantage in language. The LOR overview is that the economic collapse will happen. They're trying to go for an independent impact scenario that they read defense against on our advantage. Problem means you're going to prefer the magnitude debate. Additionally, we're winning unique impact because we say that nuclear calculation is what's going to cause war, not anything doing with the economy. In fact, we say this is more indicative of the economic. Problem means we're going to win the entirety of the impact debate. I want you to go to advantage number 2 on the impact. I want you to extend across the argument that Richard extended across to said the economy is resilient. Problem means low probability of the impact on the economic collapse. Additionally, no arguments why economic collapse would access the same impact scenario because we're making arguments as why the United States must preemptively strike or Russia must preemptively strike in order to access the 15 kilotons needed to cause extinction. Their own argument says you prioritize death over suffering. It means we're way ahead on the impact calculus. Thanks for doing it for us. And additionally, we're in arguments.
Point of order on that one. So Martin specifically said resilient oil shocks. When he read this argument, you miscalculate. I think that characterization is a mischaracterization that is not made at least.
And it's not extended as defense to our impact.
First of all, Richard does extend it. That's how it kicks off it. Second of all, your economic collapse, you say, is on oil shocks.
Panel.
Panel.
Okay.
I as an overview disadvantage, the problem is that even if they're winning the uniqueness of this one senator, that doesn't mean they're winning the uniqueness of the bill will pass the entirety of Congress. That's why Richard's answer still applies. You probably shouldn't answer the nuances of each one, but instead you just try to shift out of it by saying one person, all of Congress matters. That is ridiculous. First of all, we're going to be on a time frame because all we need is a risk that Congress has no risk of passing it now. Means you vote for the act because the time frame of this bill reaching Congress and then actually coming to agreement in Congress is probably extremely long. That number two reason you're going to vote for us is because our arguments other people must focus on this in order to actually have it pass. Means our link turns on prior question the passage of your politics, even if your winning arguments that is one person would backlash. I mean, it's probably not an indication as whether or not why the entirety of Congress passed the bill. I want you to send across that this is currently not the budget scenario is probably not a unique scenario in a world in which budget appropriations haven't been resolved in Congress. Means that there's no risk that this gets out of Congress. Unless it gets out of Congress, you don't get an impact scenario or any solvency. Additionally, we're winning arguments on cybersecurity. You said Obama doesn't matter, but Richard's argument said Obama must focus on the bill in order to cause the bill to pass Congress. Means we're also ahead on that prerequisite debate. Additionally, we're winning the farm bill. These are all reasons as why there is no risk of this, because unless it passes the entirety of Congress, you don't get an impact scenario. Additionally, on the link, first of all, if the link doesn't actually, if we don't link turn it, then that probably indicates that your bill is never going to pass the status quo. Otherwise, we get arguments as why GOP in its entirety must shift its focus on the bill in order to cause the passage. That means you're going to give us leverage on the media focus, because only through media focus does the bill have a chance of actually passing through Congress. That means any probability that Spinkus doesn't care about a specific plan probably means that it would pass the entirety of Congress faster with the affirmative plan. You should have answered the specific nuance of the link turn, otherwise there's no probability or scenario. Additionally, I want to send across to solves the budget solvency and budget is prior question. This will solve back Smeagol's concerns, because Smeagol is obviously concerned about the budget because of the Republican. Also, this means we get a risk of the link turn. Also, the next I want to go to the impact defense. We're winning arguments is why your ocean acidification is absolutely inevitable, because you do not answer Richard's deforestation, cars, cow methane, and the global warming is irreversible. That means the only thing you could do is get economic collapse, which we are head on in the magnitude debate, because we're winning arguments. We did not read Resource Wars. They said we read Resource Wars. We did not. We said accidental launch is what happens. Accidental launch because a hairline trigger. We don't give a crap about Resource Wars. That means your Resource Wars are absolutely false. Additionally, we're winning arguments. That's why Resource Wars never break down economic interdependence. Only through miscalculation do you overcome economic interdependence. They concede our economic interdependence arguments. Means we're way ahead on the impact. No risk of their impact means you default out. They don't have any offense on the affirmative. Go to the advantage now. Where do you see a turn? You don't see a single turn on the scenario. It means you're going to default to the affirmative, because we have a risk that at any moment you could have a repeated high-risk scenario in which the United States puts a training tape in the early warning systems, causes a scenario that would actually cause miscalculation enough to cause extinction. Okay, now proper. Extend across the first argument that says the United States currently has a majority of TNWs in Europe. Additionally, they concede our solvency argument says that Iran is putting attention on the TNWs, and the status quo means a unique impetus for the plan to solve right now. Additionally, that answers back their TNWs happen forever. Additionally, they make arguments that's why the United States has checks and balances. But first of all, we're in arguments that's why it breaks down the people who become habituated. It breaks down the nuclear threshold for the authorization happens. We are actually accessing the internal the unique scenario. Additionally, we're winning arguments that's why the past happened, because of repeated high-risk scenarios means the United States put a training tape into the early warning system. That's why your early warning system in Russia probably only fuels our unique scenario, because in a world which Russia has an early warning system probably means they could put a training tape in that as well. Also, increase the likelihood of nuclear launch on link level. You can see too much of our link scenario. We were winning arguments that's why this decreases the rationality of war and just stops an intermediary step to the nuclear war that would actually have to happen in order to cause extinction. Additionally, that means we're winning arguments that's why there's at least a risk of solvency. Additionally, you can see the arguments that's why we assure Russia means we're way ahead on the debate of the non-proliferation, means there's a decrease in the likelihood of war. Additionally, you can see Richard's argument that says economic interdependence is increased via the plan means we solve back your Resource War scenario. Also, an independent reason to vote for us on the impact only through miscalculation have any potential for the 15 kilotons that is needed to cause extinction. We're ahead on the magnitude. Extinction only happens through the miscalculation.